Hello, everyone. Welcome to join this training. And first of all, I would like to thank you, the TDRA, to organize this event. And thank you for inviting Huawei to give this presentation. And today's topic is about cloud computing and virtualization application. Okay, so let's start today's training. Let's take a look at the forward at first. For now, we are in a digital era and we have so many new technologies. And even for the enterprises, they are trying their best to using these new technologies to improve their efficiency of their IT systems. But there are so many new technologies like cloud computing, virtualization, artificial intelligence, and 5G. So for these enterprises, they're gonna do a little bit well to make the choices. And for today, we're gonna talk about some pain points of this enterprise when they are doing IT transformation. And also, we're gonna introduce several technologies we mentioned before, like the virtualization and cloud computing. And of course, I'm gonna introduce you guys some applications about how we're gonna use cloud computing and virtualization in our real life. Okay, so let's take a look at the objectives of today's lesson. On completion of this program, I hope that you guys can understand the pain points in enterprise IT transformation and understand the concepts of the virtualization and the cloud computing, and then have some general knowledge of application cases of cloud computing services and also some development trend of cloud services. Okay, so let's start with the first part. Let's take a look at cloud transformation of enterprises. And before we start the pain points of the enterprises, let's take a look at the trend at first. And if we, there has a way that we can define three different phases of this IT cloud transformation trends. And in the first phase, that we call that the legacy IT. Actually, in this phase, the enterprise, they only have very few IT systems. So they are not care that much about how I should to manage them or how is the resources efficiency. All they care most is that the system is working. And in this phase, that the data is not sharing, they are solitude. And at this time, the devices development is not that fast. And so as the IT systems is getting larger and the more devices will be added into the system. So the enterprises, they find out that it is a little hard to manage so many devices, both for the software and hardware. So the IT system, they have evaluate into this resource uh, consolidation phase. And in this phase that we are using virtualization technologies. About the virtualization technologies is it can help us to improve the resource efficiency. Not only doing that, but they can also to let us to manage all the software, hardware easily. But actually, that is not enough, especially with so many new technologies is has existed now. And for the enterprises, they hope that they can use some new functions to improve their IT systems robust and make them much smarter. For example, maybe they do the maintenance manually before, but now they are hoping that they can do the maintenance automatically. So in this way, they start using some new technologies. They combine the big data analysis. They're not only store the data, they want to dig more value of the data. they try to gather all this data together and to use it to analyze and to get some results from it and to help them to create more benefits. And also, they are using new technologies like the Docker, like the containers. They are using it so that their system will be, they can running much faster, and even something wrong with one point, there will be no damage to the whole system. And also, they are combined the DevOps function so that they can develop a new software much faster than before. This is several of the IT cloud transformation trends. So once the enterprises, they notice all these technologies can be used in their own system. So they start to find a way to doing this. But for now, they still have some pain points, right? So let's take a look at them. Okay, so first, for the government industry, okay, there have so many government department, and we all know that every time if we are trying to get some certification from the government, we may have to run a lot of departments. That may cost us a lot of time. So in China, actually, we had a policy called run once at most. That means we are trying to using data to let the data move instead of the people move. It just combine all these systems together from different departments, and so that the data they can transfer from one system to another, so that you only need to come to one department and say your requirements, and then all the other data query and like a certification create will be done by the system. So through this way, our government system, they will be transferred from a decentralized e-government into a data-intensive smart city. So by this way, for the government business, they are not like the system working at last at before. They are not the data they will be sharing. And also in the government industry, that we have this public security affairs too, especially when we are getting more people. They're just running into the big city in some major city. So there will be more people and more problems, which means some security problems or even some normal events. But now, because more people attended it, so it becomes huge. So we better use some new technologies to help us to make the public security much robust. Okay, so here in China, we already built a very perfect, like the surveillance system, so that we use cameras all on the streets, on the crossroads, and so that they can give a good monitor on some crimes happen. So by using this way, we can from the combating to preventing the criminal activities, because the camera is everywhere. So once you want to do something dirty, they will find out and they're gonna trace you in a very fast way. So not only in the government industry, like in other industries like the medical industries, education, financial, something, all the enterprises, they are trying to find a way to do this digitization transformation. They are trying to use new technologies, these new IT technologies, to reshape their own system. They're hoping that they can use this way to make their brand into the first rank of the industry. Okay, so at the beginning, we talk about something about the enterprise IT transformation and some pain points. And in the pain points, we mentioned maybe at first the data is not sharing, they can't share the data, and maybe the resources efficiency is not that high. So we are using technology to solve this problem. And then we're gonna introduce two technologies we mentioned before. And the first one is about virtualization. Okay, so let's take a look at the history of the cloud computing. Actually, at the first phase, we call that cloud 1.0. In this phase, people cares more about the resource efficiency. They want to improve the efficiency because usually all the applications they are running on one physical device. So maybe the application is not busy all day. So most of the time, the resource usage is not high in that physical device. So to solve this problem, people they start using this virtualization technology. At this time, we have many famous virtualization wonder, like the VMware, also some technologies like the Zen, like the KVM. So in this time, people try to using this virtualization technology solve the resource efficiency problem. But is that enough? Actually, it's not, because like we said before, since the system is getting huge, okay, so there have many and many devices added into the system. So they need some software, some platform to do the management, to manage them together. So come to the phase two. We also call that the cloud 2.0. And in this phase, we are like the resource centric. We are trying to make the resource centric. Okay. So in this time, many companies they also have their very famous products like the OpenStack, like the Amazon's AWS public cloud. But in this time, actually, they still have they still have a way. They still have some degree need to be improved. Okay, so in the cloud 3.0, that people are using some new technology like the cloud natives like the Docker container, some Cloud Foundry, some other functions. In this time, it's not like the phase two, because the phase two they are trying to gather the resource together. They are still stand on the resource point, but in the cloud 3.0, they are start to consider from the application point. Okay, so uh, they try to think, they try to build a better environment for the application so that they can running faster and they can be robust. Okay, so let's take a look at what is virtualization. Okay, about the virtualization, there has a definition of it. Is use multiple homogeneous or heterogeneous resources. About these resources, they can be like the computing resource, storage resource, and network resource. They try to get them together and form a resource pool. Okay, so if we say that in a simple way, easy way, is like we gathering all resources together. Uh, is not only like the application running in some independent device, but they are running in the resource pool. And inside of this resource pool, we're gonna deliver some resource for the application. Okay, let's take a look at these two pictures below. From the picture on the left, we can find that in the traditional way that the application they are running in one physical device. So just like I said before, maybe this application is not that busy all day. So maybe most of the time, the application's usage is resource usage is pretty low. So it will make a waste of the resource. But if we are using this virtualization technology, like the picture on the right side, okay, for now, on one physical device, there have several applications. Okay, they are run just in one physical devices. So in this way, they can improve the resource efficiency. But you may wonder, there should be some disadvantages, right? Because usually only one application, they occupy one physical device. So for now, it's much like several applications, they share one resource. Will they influence each other? Don't worry about that one, because we have, for the virtualization, it has several characteristics here. Okay, the first one is about the resource zone. Okay, just like the definition. For now, the application, they are not only using the resource from one physical device, they are using a resource pool. Okay, so the resource pool will deliver the resource for the virtual machine, which we, like the picture shows here, VM. Okay, so for each VM, it's just like a physical device before. It has its own OS, operating system. It has its own computing resource, like a disk for the storage resource, and a NIC for the network resource. Okay, so in this way, all the applications, they will be running just like what they did before in the physical device. And about the second characteristic of it is isolation. Okay, so to make sure that if one virtual machine is broken down, it's not gonna influence other virtual machine on the same device. So this virtualization has this isolation function. For each virtual machine, it has its own guest OS, and they don't even know who is the other virtual machine on this physical device. And also for the encapsulation, okay? So not like the application in the physical device. If we running the application in the virtual machine, that means all the data will be just like a file. So it will be easy to move, okay? Not like the physical one. If the application they're running on the virtual machine, then we can migrate it from different platform in a very easy way. Okay, and the last characteristic is about the independence. Okay, so because virtual machine is not the same, virtual machine, when the application they are running on the virtual machine is not like they are running on the physical machine. So in this time, they are not, they are not locked with the hardware. So you can migrate it from different hardware. So if one physical device is broken or is gonna broken, and you realize that part, you better migrate the virtual machine from one device to another, so that the application they can keep running well. And so the virtualization is so fabulous, right? It can solve our resource efficiency problem, and you don't need to worry about whether it will be too fragile. Like if one virtual machine is broken, will it influence others? So how is the technology is working? Actually, for the CPU virtualization, we have three different classification. And for the first part, we have this full virtualization technology. Okay, in this technology, and we say for the guest OS, I mean for the virtual machine, they don't even know that it's a virtual machine. For the application, they think they are still running on a physical one. So in this time, they are still send all the requests, so all the order to the hardware. But because they are sharing the resources with other virtual machine, so there will be a VMM, which is the hypervisor layer. They will they will catch all the order and the requirements from the guest OS and then translate it into some language that hardware can understand. And also to avoid that maybe one virtual machine they are doing some damage operation. Okay, so in this full virtualization type, the virtual machine they don't need to do any modify for the OS. Okay, because there has nothing changed, no differences when they are running in a virtual machine or like the physical machine. But for the parallel virtualization is not the same, because if you like the hypervisor layer, like the VMM, they try to cache and translate every requests and orders, they will be quite slow and make the working efficiency not that high. So people try to solve this problem, and they have this parallel virtualization. So in this time, they have set a rules for the guest OS. For example, several of the orders of the requirements you can do directly to the hardware, but about some other damage operations, you may not directly doing that. So in this time, we need to do some modify on the guest OS, and so the virtual machine, the VMM layer will be not that busy like the full virtualization. Okay, so for now, for the first type and the second type, they are all doing by the software. So to improve the efficiency, that we have this hardware can help us to do the virtualization. So that is the hardware assistant virtualization. So in this time, some hardware vendor, they start to define some new rules in their hardware, so that once the guest OS want to do something, the hardware will help to assist them to finish this operation. Okay, so that is all about the virtualization. So like we learned before, virtualization is are mostly used to improve the resource efficiency. So about the cloud computing is not only doing that, it can help us doing more. Okay, so what is the cloud computing? Actually, this is a very pretty hot word recently. Okay, so from the NIST's definition, cloud computing is a model for enabling convenient on-demand network access to a shared pool of configurable computing resources. Okay, so in by this way, that people are not only can use the IT resource, but they can use it on demand. Okay, so let me explain this definition easily for you guys. It's just like the cloud computing companies, they want to offer you the IT resources, IT services, like what the electricity factory did before. Before we have this electricity factory, maybe you need to make the electricity yourself, but we're not major in that. So some of the time, maybe we need to pay much attention on some job that we are not majored in. So even also for the IT system, for some companies, maybe they're a software company, they're a game company, they're not good dealing with the hardware with these IT resources, basic resources. So some companies they wondering, oh, is that will be wonderful if I can offer this IT resource directly to them. Oh, just like we are using electricity now. Once you switch on switch on the light, and then you get it. Okay, so in this way, we only need to use the network to access to this cloud computing, and we can use the IT resources from it. Okay. So also there have several different deployment models of this cloud computing, because we have different requirements, and we can't use only one type of product to solve everyone's problem. So here we have 4 different deployment modules. Let's take a look at them. The first type is private cloud. Okay, so private cloud is developed by an enterprise using their own or leased infrastructure resources. And about the community cloud, it's a infrastructure sharing cloud developed for a specific community. And about the public cloud, it's a large infrastructure, not only for several enterprises or only for one enterprises, therefore the public, everyone can use the IT resource in it. And about the hybrid cloud, it's a combine of two or more deployment modules. For example, I already have a private cloud and I want to use some public cloud resources. And there have some relation between these two sides. And we call this situation is a hybrid cloud. Okay, so I will give you an example for you to understand all these deployment models better. Think about the private cloud. It's just like you are a cook at home, and all the food you cooked are only eaten by yourself. So that is the private cloud. No other persons they are gonna take your food. And about the community cloud, is like, okay, for now you are taking a dinner at a restaurant, but this restaurant it has a rule. It only allows the family with kids to come in. So that means if you don't have a key, you don't have a kid. So sorry, maybe this is not suitable for you. Okay, so community cloud is only for some specific community, like the medical industry. Only the hospital they can use this resource pool. If you are a company from the education or you are a school, sorry, this medical community cloud is not suitable for you. But don't worry, there will be another education community cloud is over there waiting for you. Okay, and about the public cloud, it's just like you are not gonna take the food at home. You go to the restaurant and you take the food at the restaurant. Okay, so you are totally using all the resource at the restaurant. You are not cook yourself. You are not take the food made yourself. Okay, and about hybrid cloud, it's like you and your friend, you plan to take the take a dinner at a restaurant, but your friend is not feeling that well, so he's saying, okay, how about I just take the food at home and you go to the restaurant with others. So in this way, but you still miss your friends and you use the some software to have a video chat with him and there has some connection. So in this case, you connect the private cloud and the public cloud. And we call that this is a scenario for the hybrid cloud. And also about the cloud service modules, there have several different service modules because you can decide how many jobs that you want to do. Like the blue color means all the things that you need to manage, and about the green color is something other. The platform will manage them for you. So if you only manage some, if you only manage above the operating system, so that means you are using the as service module, which is infrastructure as a service, IaaS. Okay. And if you are saying, okay, I'm really not good at dealing with the operating system, can I just using the platform and to design my own application? Yes, of course. You can choose the PaaS soft services, the platform as a service. Okay, so in this case, you don't need to worry about the runtime, the middleware, the OS. Okay, so if you are saying that, oh, I'm really not good at any software or coding, can I just use the function of that application? Of course, we also have these SaaS services. Okay, the SaaS is software as a service. Okay, so in this way, you're not gonna do any managed or you do any coding. You can directly to use the software. Okay, so maybe that definition is a little bit hard to understand. So I using another example for you can understand it better. Okay, here we are using this new pizza as a service. So think about it. You want to take some pizza. There have several ways you can take it, right? Okay, on the left one, we can see you prepare everything and you make it at home. So in this way, you're gonna pay much more attention on every step. Like you need to prepare for the kitchen, for the oven. If you don't have an oven, you may need to buy one first. Okay, some pizza dough, some toppings, and others. So if you think about, okay, I don't have an oven, what should I do? But I don't like to buy the pizza directly from the shop. So in this way, you can use this as services. We also call kitchen as a service. Okay, so there will be a place they already offer you everything like the kitchen, some tools, some gas. You only need to bring the food. Okay, you bring some materials you need to make. And if you are saying I don't even good at to make the pizza dough, how about I only decide which type of the pizza I like? I will buy some toppings myself. But can you provide the other things? The answer is yes too. And we call that is a platform as a service. The last part is I am a little lazy today. I don't want to make any food. So in this way, you can directly to go to the shop and ask them, okay, so I want a chicken pizza. Okay, so that is actually the definition for the virtualization and the cloud computing. So how can we use all these cloud services? After I introduce the technology, it seems like it is still a little far from our real life, right? So let's take a look at how this cloud service is working, and they are quite close to us. Okay, the first one is which type of what services can run on the cloud. Actually, every application we are using every day, they can be running on the cloud computing. For example, like the cloud album, like the cloud music, like the cloud video, and the cloud document. Okay, so by upload all these like the file, documents, pictures up to the up to the cloud resources, it helps us to avoid if our devices is lost, and I only lost the device, not all my very important data. Okay, so actually they have offered so many services, like the basic services here, like the compute service, like the storage service, like the network and database service. So you can find everything you want to build yourself in the legacy IT system. You can directly choose the service. Okay, so here we talk about this service a little bit too many times. So the service is actually a very important concept in the cloud computing because they are trying to make every technical product into a very easy product for you to order. Okay, so let's take a look what we can do with this basic service. We can build our own website. You can only to order some uh, computer services and some storage services, and you can build your own website on it. And of course, if you are thinking that I need more function, not only some basic computing storage function, I want more like the big data analysis, like the artificial intelligence. That's okay. You don't need to build that system yourself. You can directly to order the service on the cloud computing because the cloud computing vendor they already build all this function for you. Here they mention like the big data analysis, several of the visual cognition, like the speech and semantics. Okay, so what we can do with this EI, which is enterprise intelligence, what we can do use it. Okay, like we can take a picture and let the application to tell us how many elements inside of this picture. Okay, so here like it shows us, it has chair, stool, something, and you can also to use this application to do this to make it a smart albums to do the classification for us, like the plant, like the food. They can put them in one group, and also it will be help us to do the object detection. Like I said, in the surveillance system, thanks to the camera that we can lock some like criminals, and also in this scenario it can help us to find out who is not wearing the safety helmet, which means because it will be quite dangerous if you are not wearing that helmet when you into a construction line. And also it can do the image search. Actually, there has one application I used before. It's called a flower. Tell you what is this flower. You just take a picture of a flower, and then the app will search all the flowers in its database and to show you some information, some details about this flower. And so in this way, next time when you are going out with your friends and you are in some park, just give them a question, okay? And tell them that I know this flower. Okay, so except we can use this cloud computing technology in our life. Also, it can help many industries to improve their systems. Here we are taking an example from China's Jiaxing, this city. Actually, Jiaxing, this city, they are using this cloud computing technology to build their own medical imaging cloud application systems. They're trying to use the cloud computing to store all the PACS information, all the PACS data, and they use the remote meeting this technology to let different doctors from different hospitals, they can discuss one these pictures together. And also you can use this function to do the teaching, like the other like students from the university, they can see a real this picture from the hospital. And also, by the way, about the PACS, we are using it in the medical industry, and some like the picture we take by the CT, like by other medical devices, will be uploaded, will be archived into this PACS system. And people, even though you are seeing the doctor in different hospital, but don't worry, if these hospitals they have this cooperation and they can share this PACS data from each other. Okay, actually, about this remote consulting cloud service in this medical industry has been used in many countries, especially in some countries. Maybe you have the device, but we all know the most difficult part is not we can assign a device to that place, but is we may not sign a person or sign a very professional doctor to that place. So by using this remote consulting function, that even the doctor they are stay at home, but they can still join this consulting part. And about the last part is about the future cloud computing trends. So if we already have these cloud computing technologies and we have seen so many cloud services, is that enough? No, actually they still have some something need to get improved. For example, like the computing resources, they are not enough. More and more data we are created every day. So even though, for example, for the data analysis, we're going to use more devices to do this job. And also more and more smart devices have access to this network. So for the network bandwidth, we're gonna need a huge one. So what will happen to this cloud computing? What is the trend for it? Actually, the cloud computing, like will be combined with other technologies, like the 5G, like the AI. They can combine together and work together. Okay, like the picture shows here, it works well in this 5G with 5G in this factory industry scenarios, and also for the education scenarios. For the education, especially when we have this pandemic, okay, so maybe it's not convenient to let the kids to go to school to learn at school. So we need a platform to let them study at home, and maybe they have a lot of homework and you should to take pictures of them and to sign to the teacher. So they will need a large uh, a storage capacity that you can store all this data. So I believe that both in China and other countries that we are build our own education platform so that we can let the kids not only study at home, but also they can use this platform to learn something more. Okay, so that will be actually except the examples from the industry and the education, over this cloud service and combination of this cloud service and AI and 5G, they have been used in other aspects like the cloud gaming, like the smart tail, like the smart customer service center. Okay, so in this way that people they are not only can use the technology or they know the technology, but the technology they can make the people's life much easier, much convenient, and much wonderful. Okay, so that will be all for today's lesson, and let's take a summary here. Okay, so through today's training, we have uh, take a take a look at several aspects below. The first part is about the enterprise IT transformation. So we talk about the IT transformation trends, like the phase one, we call that legacy IT. So in that time, people care about the systems, not the resource efficiency. And also the second part, they start to try to improve the resource efficiency. So they are using some technologies there, but they want the system much smarter. They want to like the data sharing and work together. And that is the transformation trends. And uh, some of the most of the enterprises they are during the period that they want to do the transformation, but to solve their own pain points. Like for the government, they have so many systems which make them hard to maintain this. And about the second part is we introduce some concept of the virtualization and the cloud computing technology. Okay, so about the virtualization and the cloud computing, they are not the same thing. Actually, cloud computing, they has many basic technologies, and virtualization is one of them. And they have different prospect. Like for the virtualization, they care more about the resource efficiency, but for the cloud computing, they try to offer us more services so that you don't need to build the IT resources yourself. You only need to access to the network and pick the product that you need, just like what we did in the supermarket, right? We directly to go to the shelf and to pick up the merchandise that we need. Okay, and the next part is about some cloud service modules and deployment modules. Like we have three cloud service modules, remember, like the ICE, like the PaaS and SaaS. For different companies, they may have different skills and they may good at different things. So you can pick the services that which is suitable for you from the ICE, PaaS, and SaaS. And about the other one, the deployment modules that we have that four different types, right? The private cloud, the public cloud, community cloud, and hybrid cloud. Okay, and then we introduce some cloud services like the basic one and some advanced services. And we introduce some application of how we can use these cloud services. And the last part is we talk about the trend, the development trend of the cloud service, because one technology, maybe they have enough power, but if you combine it with others, it can make us a better result. Okay, so I believe that will be all for today's training. So if you have any questions, please leave me a message and let's take a discuss on that. And also, if you don't have any questions, there will be a little quiz uh, after this training. And there, all the informations, uh, the knowledge in that quiz will be come from this training. Okay, so if you guys have any other questions, you can leave a message below this video. And if you have any real examples in your real life that how you are using this cloud service, you can also leave a message here. So thank you for your attending